So, you heard me. Creative Mind and Homebrew can both be a blessing and a curse, and I picked them as the jewels of tabletop RPGs. So let's talk about it. Hi guys. So for today's video, I'm just gonna have a small talk about how homebrews and creative mind can be both a blessing and a curse. And this has been something on my mind for a while, and I have done some of the curse parts of the topics I'm going to take up today. So I do have a slight understanding about how you could be both a good thing and a bad thing when you cannot really control it or you overdo it. So let's start with homebrew. Now, homebrew has been a staple in tabletop RPGs in the very beginning, since we started this beautiful game of theater of the mind, basically. But in the beginning, it was more of a necessary thing, since the rules was not as like clear cut as they are today. One of the real reasons I have done so far is like, back in the day, the rules were more scarce and was more wiggle room to do stuff, and technically it was a necessary thing to have the DM or something create their own rulings and stuff like that, and even like species what they could do and stuff like that. But as the years went on, and we get more systems and upgrades on the games already after the horrors of religious people call us devils worshippers, basically. It gets more and more like the rules get more centralized, and it's more like, okay, here's the rules, but it's not like barred rules. You can bend them if you want to. This is just guidelines, basically. But it's more of a like, you can just follow the book and you'll be fine. But if you feel like you need to bend the rules or you want to change something, homebrew is actually something you can do, and that's pretty good. So nowadays, homebrew is most likely used to spice up the games a bit, change some rulings here and there, and kind of, I would say, improve some things in the games depending on which game you're playing. Me, I'm only accustomed to 3 systems right now, and that's mostly Savage Worlds. Then we have Dungeons and Dragons, and then we have the Pokemon Tabletop RPG I'm playing every other Friday with some friends. So how can homebrew both be a blessing and a curse? First, in a homebrew setting, or in a setting where you get a lot of homebrew characters to be made, is where like you can actually create something that technically doesn't really exist in the books right now. But if you have the books to guide you, you can create characters that are fitting to the setting you're playing and stuff like that. And sometimes even something that doesn't work with the rules, you can homebrew away so that it works with the games anyway. And one of those things I used to have done and like are going to do in future campaigns or one shot is, if you're a dragonborn or another species that has breath weapons, I will allow you to do that every single round until you roll a nat 1. If you roll a nat 1, you need to roll a d6 next turn to see if you can like just hark a little bit or just collect yourself so you can start doing a breath weapon again. Because in my eyes, the weapon damage, the breath damage is not that powerful, and sometimes, yeah, most times you have the enemy roll a save of some kind, so either avoid it completely or half the damage. And like, you start with 2d6, then 4d6, like it will go up as you level up in certain times, but it's not that devastating of damage to warrant only one use before every short or long rest is completed. So I feel like breath weapon is, if it is a natural thing for the species and not a spell, I will allow you to do it every single turn, unless you roll on that one. Then we see if you can kind of calm yourself or settle yourself so you can do it again. If you don't, then you have to take a long rest to recover maybe a slight damage pipe where your breath weapon comes from. But that's like a small thing that are very easy to readjust in the game or in the world at large, because it's not that form of like too big. Hopefully. Well, if some guys who disagree with me, please share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to read about it. Now, and this is like a small example of stuff like this, but there are places when you create something that it's way too broken, or in case of another dude I've heard about, he created a character that's technically illegal to use, but I understand for it because he used parts of 7 to 8 different systems to create these characters, to create one character, and it was a whole thing. Now, I would say it also depends on how brave a DM is to say no stuff, or willing to let things slide. And if you already have like a crazy homebrew things going on, it's like harder to say no. And I don't really remember what the character was about, but it was like too many systems into one character that were technically allowed to have, and it was like too weird to keep track of. And this is like what can be sometimes problem with homebrew, is like if you don't know when to stop adding things from other system or in the system you're playing, your character can become a bit too powerful or a bit too like crazy, and like just really just destroys like the sessions and the campaign completely, because what are we supposed to do with this? And this is also like if a GM does it because he's feeling for a couple sessions now it's been too easy for the players, and he needs to create something, and then he just homebrew a monster that's way too powerful for the level they're at. Too many resistance, immunities, the whole shebang. And this is also where things can get very wrong in the creative mind. And that is mostly because people doesn't really talk too much with each other after sessions or during sessions, or even if they do talk, people like they hear the words but they're not really listening, so they cannot really understand what the person is saying. Now, I myself has been part of that. I have to be honest with that. My first campaign in Savage Vault, I kind of lost track of how much I was creating in my world, because of like my players was playing their roles as the character was, but I could not see or completely understand what the character was about. And to be an intricate like person in real life and then playing intricate in a role-playing game was a bit hard for me to see it. And even though they tell me again, I heard the words, could not listen completely, and they didn't connect. So every time I come up with an NPC I thought they would like and talk to, they don't really talk to them in a way that I was like feeling, oh, this is they're getting a connection here. So like, okay, need to create them more. So within like 5 or 6 sessions, I have already created over 40, nearly 50 NPCs just to try to find someone they wanted to talk to. And also, like, I thought it was me just failing completely with this, like, creating an NPC worthy of note. But no, they were just playing, like, incorrect characters, like, that don't want to really socialize if they don't have to. And then in another part was with my creative mind, though I got in a trap with, and here's the negative with creative mind. They got like a lot of battles that I had hyped the monsters because I was proud of it, and they almost one-shotted instantly, a couple of things like that. And I got it up again. I tried to talk to them and try to get things, but myself, I couldn't come up with the words what was wrong myself, even when I tried to explain what I was missing. So I failed in my community part as well, not just my players. So I started creating more powerful monsters, and then we come to like what the first really big battle, where they had to face, first of all, inside a home, an army of undead. Then outside comes another unit of a small unit of swamp monsters, which there's 3 versions of these swamp monsters, and together, as I was explained very late afterwards, when we had a really big discussion what was going on with our campaign, I have created 3 monsters that put together is nearly impossible to beat for a level 20 party in D&D, and we're playing Savage World, which not got up to that level of damage dealing and stuff like that. And I was taken aback. And that's when we also came up with all cards on the tables and stuff like that. And I would say I didn't take it very well at the time because I was like, sure, I was new to the game, but it was like it was so long put out with like how we had misunderstand each other and stuff like that. So I truly felt like I was not meant to GMing or DMing for anyone at all. But they put me like in a very good place, like, no, you're good enough, like, we are just failing to communicate, that's not, so you're not the problem, we all are the problem. So I took a break from that campaign to readjust a bit and kind of, so we also like a month or 2 I readjust the battle, and now it's just done that army and an orb that was apparently extremely old, like it had something to that they were drawing power from, like 3 wizards that was drawing power from that to create an unnamed army. So that was pretty well, but then like, so that is a sort of a bad situation, but like here's the more of a drag out problem that could happen in a creative mindset, I would say. And that's when your brain is overworking. And what I mean with is you can't stop creating at all. You can't. You're so lit up with ideas and concept and stuff like that. So you just start creating. And this is what has led some people to burn themselves out, lost love for the game, or still loving the game, but you can't keep what you have created in like one campaign. And it's so like pushing in front of your mind that you really need to let it out, which again happened to me. And that's what has led me to right now. I'm running 3 campaigns right now. I'm a player in I play 2 characters in 2 different campaigns myself, and I'm about to start a 4th, and actually planning on almost maybe in the end of the year starting a 5th campaign. My first D&D campaign though, so I would literally, my mind has just begun off like that. And it happens sometimes also when it comes to characters ideas with me, and possibly many of you as well, that were like, you have played like a short campaign or a one shot, you're looking through the book and your mind starts clicking. It's click, then click, then click, and you start creating. And I had it with like a Savage Worlds Cyberpunk thing I did with my friends a while back. So I created so many characters. I think just for Cyberpunk Savage World, I've created over 30, almost 40 to 45 characters just for that system, for that companion. And then there are some places sometimes like my brain can't stop working and I just create. Now, how we can turn this trap into a blessing, it is when you can come up with a system to balance it out, because that's something that's very much needed, especially when you know when your brain starts working, you will just keep on writing and creating, and you need to find a way to put it either to a side or just maybe just make it and just then it's there and wait for the right time. Because sometimes like when you just create, you don't really think of the smaller details that probably needed to add and stuff like, or like you have 3 walls, but you don't have the support beam to keep it structured as 4 walls. So you can then put on a roof and then you have a house. Or at least the body of a house. They have to decorate it with furniture and stuff like that later, but if you don't have the support beam, it will just collapse. So in a way of, I have been trying to do more like now, it's like, I'm trying to focus more like on the games I'm doing. I come up with, I'm still coming up with plenty of these, but like I'm letting it cook in a separate place. Like I'm writing some of these on a book a bit, but I know I can't do it because I need to focus on the others, which is already taking full of my time. But if it's like hard, when it's the hardest time for me, like when my creative mind is working so much overtime, I'm just happy that I have good friends that can kind of point me. It's like, okay, enough. You've done enough. Take a breather. Okay, tell me about it. Okay, we spitballing a bit. I'm like, enough. Like, so talking with my friends helped me to spitball the idea and then just go with, okay, I see the problem now. Okay, and after spitballing for a couple of minutes to half an hour sometimes, I can see this is not ready yet. I can then push it back to maybe like put it like forth to my desk or something like that when it's time and I have more time to actually look at what I created and polish it a bit. Now, same with homebrew. Like homebrew is a very thing that are very good at creating new interesting species, abilities, backgrounds, and just stuff that can help you like improve your own love for the game. But if you just create and doesn't really think about how to balance it with other things, that's when it becomes a curse. Now, like I said, I created 3 swamp monsters that is not even Savage World meant build, and it's really hard for D&D games to fight. Even as like one, taking them each separately, it's a hard fight. Extremely hard fight, because I truly went overboard with how to defend them while being good at attacking, basically. I think in Savage, like in D&D, like they were almost roughly had like, except for like intelligence, they would have above 18 in stats, plus a lot of resistances and like species trait that will help them like recover, heal, and etc, etc. And some of them even had ability to spawn mini them during battle. Yeah, you can see why my friend said like this is way too much. and again, like, but sometimes I do like to try to see how much like an overpowered character I can make, just for funsies. I know I'm not gonna play it because it's way too OP, or it's like, yeah, I'm playing this and like most of the other players or my GM's gonna have a boring day and like they're just gonna, please, can you just kill this one off? And that's what one of my latest ones was actually my version of like Holification Ichigo for Savage World campaign. And in the way I created him, I created him as a half devil, basically, with a lot of, and in Savage Worlds, when you're creating a character and it's not in the book, you have to create your own race, and then you have something called positive racial traits and negative racial traits, which balance points must be balanced with equal amounts of positive and negative points are matched. So basically, to balance him out, yeah, he needs like a lot of blood, but to survive or eat corpses. Most races in this world hates him, his kind, and thanks to that, he is really powerful, really hard to hit. And if in Savage World fighting right now, if you don't kill him on the first turn, before he moves, you need to kill him, or he will not stop moving. He will not stop slashing you to death, you and your party, or at least until like his movements runs out. Then you get another chance, and if you fail that, he gets another chance. Because in Savage World, you have something called multi-action to make it harder to hit multiple times. I start with a -2, then a -4. So if you don't bend the rule so you can have more minuses, this Hollow Devil Ichigo ignores up to 4 points of penalties of multi-actions. And he's ambitious, so he doesn't even get offhand penalties. So if you don't kill him, he can just spend forever. If you don't have to move to get to his target, he can just slice until you're dead. which, like, is a fun character to create as long as you know you can never play him. Now, I have talked a bit about it, so, and this is my knowledge so far to how both homebrew and creative mind can be a blessing, but if you don't have natural breaks or don't have friends to help you control it a bit, it can become a curse, and it can ruin both games and your own love for tabletop RPG, no matter which system you play. So my cautions here is, like, if you're doing homebrew, if you're doing homebrew, please take into consideration what system you're using. Try to limit how many books you're using from that system. I would recommend like two or three books with different companions, with different versions of maybe out of the race you want to build, or similar species to what you want to build, and try to see how the book have balanced their racial traits, and then build it into your own race. Okay, species. That's very important, because then you don't make a character that has things for, well, every single system out there basically, and you can play him, and the other players or GM won't feel like this is way too much and it ruins the balance of the game. And as a cautionary tale, and hopefully a good advice for you guys out there that feeling like you are in a state of mind where you can't stop creating, please, if you have friends that are interested in tabletop RPG or any form of fandom as a whole, please talk to them, spit your ideas with them, and let them give them their perspective of it, because it's a very much the greatest help you can have when your mind is working overtime of just creating things for you, and you can't really stop yourself, and it's spilling over to you have to create a new world, new campaign, more characters. My character's getting too all over there, and you can't. And what was that character's name again? What type of business did he run and stuff like that? So please, if you are in that space, have your friends help you by talking about the idea so that you can digest it. You can see their perspective of the idea, and then hopefully either put it to side or find a way to put it in your current build, what you're doing. So yes, please keep that in mind. When doing homebrew, make sure don't use too many systems or sources, and if to build it, use as like a minimum bit of sources that are fitting to the system or edition of the system you're using, so the character can be balanced and not too complicated to play, and the other players still feel like their character can contribute to the stories, and the GM does not have to just focus on creating a challenge for just you. And if the creative thing is getting out of hand, please contact friends. Or if it's like you don't really have friends that can help you with that bit and you still want to talk to it, you can always visit Spelens Hus in Malmö. Please Google the address. I can remember the address off the top of my head, where every Monday and every other Friday there are an association called Rolls, where we are doing tabletop RPGs. So if you feel like you want to try, or just you need some advice, please come and visit us there. Your 2 first visits are free. After that, we would like you to become a member. And if nothing else, we have a Discord called Rolls, and where you can ask questions and stuff like that to members there. We are willing to help you with in any way we can, and give you tips, advice on how to build and how to make it fit into a campaign or a setting you're very interested in running or playing in. And while you're at it, if you come and visit and stuff, please tell you that Patrick Oxman has recommended the place to you. And as always, guys, if you like this video and want to see more of me with better lighting, when I remember to make my videos earlier during the day now, when they're getting darker, things to becoming autumn, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you all guys in the next video. Until then, have a great weekend, and bye.